Hello and welcome to Simon Says Artwork. This is the 12th instalment of learning to draw with my left hand. And you might have noticed there's no longer a bandage on my right hand. It's fine now, it's healed, and I'm still sticking to learning with my left hand. And I'm going to be drawing in my little black sketchbook. And today I'm going to be using a 0.1 nib and a 1.0 nib. So these are quite different when it comes to the thickness of the nibs. Don't know if you can see it there if I hold it up. See if I hold it up against the white. That should be better to see the nibs. But yeah, one is like a bullet tip nib and the other is just like a slim fine liner nib. So, okay, let's get started. Okay, so starting off this drawing, it took me quite a while to actually get into the rhythm of making these marks. I was really spending a lot of effort to try and be a lot cleaner than I've been on the last few installments of this challenge. And I liked a lot of the marks that I made, but it did take a lot longer than I usually take. And time's a factor, really, you know. How late would you like to stay up to finish a drawing? Saying that, it was curious to me where it would lead. I never have something fully formed in my mind before I start drawing, or even when I'm in the midst of a drawing and really getting somewhere. Especially with a drawing like this where it's all so doodle orientated or oriented. I never know which one of those to say. I'm going to say oriented. So I'm not projecting any kind of finish onto this drawing at any stage at all. I'm just following where it goes and trying to use my intuition to make the marks. Any kind of preference that I have for detail or space is a real, I suppose that's a real minimal thought process where I just glance and think, I'll leave that blank. But otherwise I'm almost feel as though my nose is pressed against the surface of the sketchbook. And obviously it's not literally, but that's how it feels when you're so deep into making these different choices. And that's what a lot of this drawing is. It's a lot of different decisions that you make in this process. And having these two pens really helped because it gave it a sense of growth, where otherwise it felt as though I was getting nowhere fast because of how narrow the nib is. But the shapes always kept me interested. And I do appreciate how much I can engross myself in shape design and different patterns for a fairly, good length of time. Now I must confess this is more of an inspiration to me for future installments. I don't feel as though I fully resolved this drawing. Now I'm glad that I took this more zoomed in approach just so that you can see the marks up close. And I don't dislike these marks. For my left hand, these are cleaner than what I usually make for marks. So that's something which I really liked about this drawing. However, the arrangement and the composition was something where I never really spent time considering where it would lead or what it was really communicating. So it's now giving me ideas for what I would like to move towards when it comes to the end of the challenge, the end of the month. I'd like to have something more considered, more well balanced, and to potentially have both hands involved in the drawing. Now I'm trying to decide what I would like to do with when it comes to this. Should I spend a few days drawing with both hands, or should I just do the last day of the month with both hands? I'm really curious to see what will happen if I start drawing with both my left and my right hand, to see how much I can process at a time and get drawn, and whether it makes it quicker or whether it slows me down trying to think that fast. And for this, it's a lot of the time it was trying to decide. I mean, I did it, within a matter of seconds, but deciding what shape to introduce next, to try not to repeat anything which I'd already drawn. And I never know if that's the right choice, or whether I should really repeat things so that I have an echo of a concept going throughout the image. Whereas what I actually have at the end of this is a lot of different ideas being partly developed. And that's not a criticism to say it's not a good thing. I quite like how some of this is shaping up at this stage. But by the end it's not finished, and I don't mind it being unfinished, because sometimes doodles like this are quite interesting, with space in between and potential still present in the final stages. And there are some parts where I didn't really like the finish, like that strange part which I've just drawn there is not something which I really like about this drawing. But because it's such a small element of a larger piece, it doesn't really weigh on me at all, because I worked on other elements and developed other ideas to the point where I quite like how they ended up looking, and the things which didn't work informed me just as much as the parts which did. So this is why I'm really more confident now that I can create something with my left hand, given enough time, which would be fairly acceptable as an illustration. Now obviously there are still wobbly lines where I would like to have more control, and that's something I've got time to work on, because we are still on the 12th instalment and it's not even halfway through the month. So if I start to do more straight lines without a ruler in future installments, then there's the possibility of training my left hand to retain some sort of rigidity and control over the pressure and the balance of the stroke. And that's really what I am interested in at this point, is to try and have some creative growth, some skill, I suppose, to develop a skill. And it's already started where I didn't know whether I'd be able to draw at all with my left hand, and I was quite happy in the first instalment at how well it went. And then I've had certain levels of disappointment, and it was just cutting the session short. So to spend a little bit longer, which I did today, to develop this piece has given me the incentive to try to do maybe more abstract doodle type of drawings, but to invest enough time in them where I can actually inject ideas and follow through with certain patterns and rendering suggestions without abandoning it too soon. And that's where I got up to. Okay, that is the drawing done. Now, this is how it turned out. I don't know if from a distance you can tell, but I quite like some of the general coverage on the page. And the one thing that I didn't get the opportunity to do is what you're doing now, is seeing from such a distance that you can see all of the empty space that is left around a lot of this detail and shape design. And if I would have known that, then I probably would have made a few different decisions. But I'm leaving it there. I think there's a lot of good stuff down there, and I like how it's progressing. So yeah, I'm going to keep it up and hopefully end up with something quite nice by the end of the month, where ideally, as I've mentioned before, I will start to be a little bit more ambidextrous. That's the hope, at least. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, then please leave a like, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell, share this with any friends and family. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.